Well, we're going to check out the tropics for you. The next two names on the list, Nadine and Oscar. So Milton was the last storm, a male name. The next one, the female name, Nadine. And then if we get that one, we would then turn to Oscar. There are two areas we're watching right now that could develop. One doesn't have a very good chance. The other one has a better chance. I'm going to break that down for you. I also want to mention we just had some energy move off the coast and is, I should say, doing that this morning. As that comes off the coast, there might be a little bit of intensification. The Hurricane Center is not issuing anything special on that. They're not too concerned, but we're going to watch that area move off the coast, and it may tighten up a little bit as it slides off to the east. As far as the two areas we're watching, you can see the Gulf of Mexico looks pretty good right now, but in the Western Caribbean, this is an area where we have at times over the last several days seen some flare-ups of convection or storminess, and this area here is still an area that needs to be monitored. Now, the chances for development here, only at 20%. Yesterday, it was up to 30%, so at times, it's looked like maybe it is going to develop a little bit more. It is still producing rain along the coast there in Central America, but again, the chances of this thing becoming a tropical system and getting really well organized as close as it is to Central America, only around 20%. Now, back across the central part of the Atlantic, this is another area that we've been looking at. This is Invest 94L. So the Hurricane Center's been running some models on it, trying to say, okay, what's this thing going to do? How might it develop? And in general, there's still about a 50% chance for development with this as it works to the west. So we're going to watch that. The water temperatures have been really warm, and we still have a lot of energy for those clusters of storms to kind of tap into, draw some of that moisture, that warmth off the warm sea surface. And again, there is that potential for development. I will say, looking forward with some of the global models, they weren't really going crazy with this in general, but it is still something that we will keep a close eye to. You see the Lesser Antilles here. You get into the Leeward Islands and eventually the Greater Antilles. Once you get into Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Cuba, those areas, they'll be monitoring all of this, as the general forecast thinking is that it may eventually kind of come into this area. Now, I wanted to show you the water temperatures in this area, and you can see water temperatures very, very warm for the northeastern part of the Caribbean. Temperatures in the mid-80s right now, just north of Puerto Rico and off to the northeast. Central part of the Caribbean, Western Caribbean, water temperatures there are in the low 80s. So plenty of moisture and heat to work with. Obviously, you get a warm sea surface temperature that can add fuel to these developing systems. They really need water temperatures over 80 degrees, and you see that in the Caribbean and areas just off to the north and northeast of that. So that's where that area is headed, that area more conducive to potential development. Back across the Central Gulf right now, water temperature right at 80, so water temperature is a little bit cooler in the Gulf, but still warm enough to maintain some of these systems, at least through the central part of the Gulf. And then up along the eastern seaboard, we have these areas with water temperatures in the 80s. That's right along the Gulf Stream. Closer to the coast, our water temperatures are a little bit cooler. Let's go back to the outlook. Again, the two areas here, one with a 20% chance of development. Not too worried about this, but something that we'll watch. Whether or not it develops, it's still going to be a rainmaker for Central America. And then this area here with the 50% chance of development as it moves maybe right along or just north of the Lesser Antilles and close to Puerto Rico and eventually Hispaniola. So something that we will keep an eye to. Again, no direct threats to Hampton Roads or the eastern seaboard right now, but this is certainly something that could develop and could pose a problem down the line. We will keep you updated, and we'll keep a close eye to things here at 13 News Now.